Good evening. This is Dr. Ramaswamy. So today, anyway, I hope you are listening to my lesson. So today, good evening. This is Ramaswamy. So I'm beginning the lesson. So today, we'll discuss about formats of radio programming. So in the previous class, we discussed about radio and programs, radio programs, and actually origin and growth of radio. In the previous class, we discussed. Okay. Today, we discuss about the format, different formats of radio programs. So as we know, the radio gives information as well as, right? So 92% of total population is covered with the radio. Okay. So for that, we can, if you distinguish, there are a number of features of radio. What are they? Radio is the only, we can say it as a blind media, because the performer who is presenting the program cannot be seen. Okay, we can't see the performer who is presenting the program. Also, the presenter doesn't know, okay, who is listening to the radio. So therefore, we can call it as a blind media. So presenter doesn't know the audience, and audience can't see the performer. Okay, that's why it is called a blind media. So there are so if you talk about radio, there are features. Okay, so it is all about medium of sound. In a radio only we can listen, we can't see anything. Okay, and it is also a voice medium of voices. So sound media means medium of sound means, so we can listen to the songs and voice of the performers. Okay, that's only, we can't see, and we can't see the picture. So it is also mass media. Mass media means, so if you send if you broadcast your radio signals, so number of followers who can listen to the radio, but we don't know who is listening to this radio. Okay, there are heterogeneous group. That means men, women, educated, illiterates, okay, employees, everybody can listen. So that we can call it as a mass medium. Okay, in radio programs also, so you just say simple language, because the programs may be listened by these literates, educated people, or illiterates. Okay, so that the language should be easily understandable by this both groups, literates and literates. Okay, and it is also, radio is a portable medium. Portable medium means you can carry radio, you can carry the radio wherever you are going. Okay, and it also doesn't require a lot of space. So if you take a TV, it requires space. So, but radio can't occupy a lot of space. Okay. And literacy. So there is no barrier of literacy. You may be literate or illiterate. You can listen to you can listen and understand, and is then understand the content. Okay. So for that, there are a number of formats, different formats of radio. So one of the format is talk shows, not shows. So talk shows in television. In here talks, radio talks. In a radio talks, will this radio people, radio producer will invite a guest, and he will talk on a particular topic. Okay, he will explain. You take example of Yadagiri Gutta. So recent. So if you invite a person who is aware of these developments in Yadagiri Gutta, if you invite, so we will talk on that particular subject. Okay, this is the radio talks. And another one is the discussions. Discussion in a discussion program format. In a radio, we'll invite 2 or 3 experts, subject experts. Okay, they'll sit and discuss on a particular topic. Okay, there are different versions of their opinion. So this type of program is called a discussion, radio discussions. Another format is radio interviews. In the interview format, so the presenter invite a guest, maybe subject expert. Okay, he will ask the questions and he will get the information from the interview. Okay, so this interviewer gets the information from the interview. Okay, this is the one type of program. And radio features and documentaries. In a radio feature and documentaries, so these radio producers produce one, will choose one topic. Okay, based on that, for the research. Okay, and based on that, they will they write a script, and related data will be collected, and they write in a documentary format. Okay, documentary format means, so they will explain everything. Okay, it's also called radio documentary, is also called features, radio features. Okay, if you read radio features in a paper, so they give a detailed information. If you choose any topic, they give a detailed information. So take an example of hijab controversy now. If you read in a newspaper feature stories, so they give a detailed information about that controversy topic. Okay, that is called radio features or documentaries. So it's also in a magazine type of stories. Sorry, in the magazines type of story, so they usually broadcast different programs. In a magazine story, they will choose and they will give you. Actually, it's magazine program. It's like a serial. So serial in television. Okay. So these magazine stories will publish as a weekly basis or monthly or fortnightly. Okay. There is a program every radio magazine means in every Saturday there is a special program, and every Sunday there is a special program related to employees. There is a program on every day or every Monday, a program on student issues. So like that. So magazine stories means they are full in detail. Okay, they are especially weekly or monthly or alternate day at a particular time. Maybe it may be a time also. Every 7 p.m. Every day 7 p.m. So we'll get a new story, magazine stories. Okay. And another format is radio reports. In the radio reports, so it's like a reporting. So in a news, there is a difference between a news and radio report. Okay. In the news, okay, they will give you a detailed information. Okay, they write a story, and presenter will read the news story, right? In a radio report, so difference between radio report and reports, this report, news report and report difference is, news report is a small one. Okay, and they will give you information, brief information about that particular story. In a radio report, they will get information and they will mix with the bytes, the persons who are involved in that story. They will take their version of story and the opposite version of the story, and they all mix together. Okay, and these all mixed and file a report. So they produce a one report. So it may be 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Okay, like that. Another is radio jingles. Jingle is a short song or tune used in advertising and podcasting and other commercial uses. So example is, so when we are a child, so used to listen this radio jingle is this song like this: the washing powder Nirma, washing powder Nirma. That is a radio jingle. Jingle, it's a jingle. But if you add a visual, it become a advertisement in a television. So just listening to the audio, that radio jingle, so we'll connect to the particular product. It may be Nirma or anything. Okay, by listening to that audio, okay, we'll connect to we'll recap the product. So this is one type of advertising. Okay, so this is used for in different commercials. Okay, in advertisements. Okay, this is the radio jingle. Hello. So another format is radio drama. So whenever you watch drama in a theaters, you can see the actors, sound, curtains, properties, okay, everything, right? But as a radio drama, so we can't see, right? In a radio drama, we can't see. Just we can listen to the audio. Okay, but for that, we need to explain. The listeners should understood. Okay. Okay, keeping in the mind of audience. So without visual, so we need to convey the message. So whatever the drama, yes. So for that, we use some PPT so that we can easily. So after this, we use radio. So in a radio drama, so it's like a stage play, but only we can listen to the audio. So we can't see the performers who is performing on the stage. Okay. So if you, while writing, you should, as a writer, you should keep in mind that so audience can't see the performers, so that the message should be conveyed in a proper way, that without seeing the visual also, the message should reach the audience. Okay, that is a radio drama. So another one is one personal radio jockey. So we simply call it the RJ, right? So the personality who operates, who presents, okay, is called actually in American English we call as a radio personality. In a British English we call a radio presenter, or we simply call a disc jockey or DJ in a short. In India, like India, we'll call it as a RJ. If you is performing tasks in radio, we call it as a radio jockey. Okay, is the person who hosts the radio programs. Okay, and if it is a discussion-based program, discussion or anything, so we'll introduce the guests. Okay, we'll introduce the topic, and he will raise the question and ask the questions. Okay, the person will present the news or stories is called RJ, a radio jockey. Okay, so if it is a take example of FM radios, RJ Shiv in 92.7 something. If you listen to that, so we can connect to the radio jockey. Okay, the person who introduces songs, persons, information, update the information. Okay, we call it him as a radio jockey. Okay, so to become a radio jockey, he or she should possess some qualities. Okay, that qualities include he should have a good and clear voice and excellent tone as well as modulation. Okay, because it's an audio medium, right? So if your tone and modulation is not clear, so audience may not understand, listeners may not understand properly. Okay, and it's also he or she should also has great communication skills, creativity to interact with others. Okay, so ఎక్కువ మాట్లాడతారు కదా, so they only become a radio jockeys. You need to talk. So the radio jockey should talk properly and communicate with others in a good he should have good communication skills. Okay, and he should also have some current knowledge on current affairs, news, social trends. Then only he can explain. Okay, and they will connect with the current trends with the songs or issues. Okay, then only if he has only knowledge about this current trends, then only he'll communicate with properly. And he should also has a creative thinking, like new topics, thinking and selecting a new topics, new ideas. Okay, for the show, different. There are so if it is a 24 hours radio channel, so he should possess all these qualities. He should have a good and clear voice and excellent tone and modulation. Okay, great communication skills. Okay, and the creativity to interact with the others. Okay, he should also possess the good knowledge on current affairs, trends, and news issues. Okay, and he should have creative thinking so that he can able to think on new ideas and new programs. Okay, this is what there are different radio. These are the radio formats. What are the radio formats? So basically, radio drama and radio jingles, radio reports, and magazines, radio features and documentaries. Okay, interviews, and discussions and talk shows. Okay, these are the different formats of radio. Okay, hope you understood this. And next is So there are different. So after Krishna, different. So for this, there are different programs, right? So for that, as a producer, as a creative people behind the radio, so you should possess some qualities to write a. So a radio, just we can listen, right? So that the communication should be properly projected, properly transmitted to the audience or listeners. Okay, if you write properly, if you our writing skills as a producer, if you communicate with the properly, then only the message will be reached to the audience. So for that, the chapter. So how to write a radio programs? How to write a radio programs? So basic functionality of radio is, so it is immediate, right? So compared to paper, newspaper, so if anything happens, so we can directly listen to the radio. So if you want to know the information, so you have to wait for next day. If you read only, if you depend on the newspaper, you have to wait for the another day, next day. Then only the information will be present in the newspaper. So based on that, the information in a radio is instant and immediately. Okay. Oh, compared to newspaper, radio is instant and immediate. Okay. And radio is heard only once. If you are reading a newspaper, 1 second. If you are reading a newspaper, if you don't, if you did not understand properly, okay, then there is a chance to reread, right? You can read it in later. But in a radio program, you can't listen afterwards. When the program is telecasting or broadcasting, okay, that time only you can listen. After completion of the program, you can't listen. Even if that program is retelecasted or rebroadcasted, okay, then only you can listen. So based on that, so compared to a paper, so it is heard only once. So even if you did not understand properly, you can't read as a, you are not understand properly, you can't read. So this is another. And in a radio also, so the presenter presents the news or a program. So it may be news or discussion or talk shows or the interview. Okay, presenter presents. Okay, so you need to write for years while listening to the program only. You should able to understand, right? Okay. So that means the radio program should aim to write, okay, to the audience here. That means audience can only hear, that the program should be in a proper format, so that easily audience can easily understand. The language should be easy. Okay, simple language should be simple, not as complex as. Okay, so if it is a newspaper, even if you use a complex language, okay, they can reread and they'll understand. But in a radio, so it read only once, no? So heard only once. So if you miss the point, you may not get that point again. Okay, for writing a good program in a radio, so So there are different programs. In the previous, in the beginning of the class, we discussed there are different programs, right? Radio, talk shows, news, magazine style, documentaries. So in a news program, so 1 second. Anyway, I'll share one so that for easy. So writing for radio. So principles, there are different. So what precautions should take while writing a for radio? You need to follow this. Keep in mind, you should follow. You should understand. You should keep it in your mind, because so radio is a audio medium. So it is spoken, okay, and it is immediate, and this one was also person to person communication and heard only once, and it's sound only. These are the basic while writing a news program or any radio program. You should keep it in your mind, okay. Spoken immediately, person to person, and heard only. Then based on this, you need to plan. You need to use your language, okay. And this is also this programs also meant for educated and uneducated, young and old, women and men, okay. Urban people or rural people, okay. And this program is for everyone, okay. Whoever listen to this radio, they can understand easily, okay. If there is a program, so if you use complex language and some technical terminology and scientific terminology, rural people may not understand properly, okay. For that, you need to explain, okay. Explain and use a simple language so that the people can understand easily, okay. And so any program in a radio is a time based. Maybe it is half an hour program or 5 minutes program, okay. So in that, you need to fix some of the stories or some of the items, okay. So that to fit into that duration, you need to write short, and also you give a proper points. So that story should contain the proper format, accurate information, as well as in a shorter content, okay. And whenever you're putting a story, so it should reflect the both perspectives, okay. You should maintain the balance between the two parties. So whenever you are reporting one story, okay, you should take one side from the official side, and other side you should take the critics who are criticizing that program also. You should take, okay. So the most important point of writing is so you use simple language, okay. If it is a language complex, it is difficult to understand by the local rural people, okay. And whenever you are conveying the message, passing the information, okay, passing the information that time, so you should not fill the 3 or 4 points in a one single paragraph, okay. Different aspects, different perspectives, so that listeners may not understand properly, okay. And So you should give a proper information, and you should give a proper conclusion to the story. So you should not give him a you should not leave him in wondering. That means, so if you give a half of information, so he may not properly follow, and he may not understand properly. So he may be confused. Okay, for that you need to give a proper information so that the listener can follow. So in a radio programs are so person to person communication. This one is, so whenever you listen to radio, it seems like the radio presenter or RJ, so talking to you only. So it seems like that, right? So whenever the radio jockey or RJ telling anything, that means whenever you listen to radio, so it feels like that RJ is telling to me only. So that means, so it is a person to person communication. So our writing style, so whenever writing or using use of language should be a person to person. Okay. And the words, sentence, whichever we are using, okay, should be accurate and clear without any ambiguity. So words may sometimes may confuse. Okay, the pronunciation also sometimes confuse with the pronouncing. So we can't see, no, just we are listening. So then while listening, if you pronounce it not pronouncing properly, so you listener may understand difficulty to understand the meaning. Okay, so in a radio, the programs or story should be in a smaller, shorter compared to print. So print media, so we need space to fit into the story. So here duration, the time duration is, so in a less time, so you need to convey the more details. Okay, and so apart from the basic journalistic skills, okay, which is qualities like you should be able to understand, you can see the other side. So these are some of the basic requirements of the journalist, right? So this basic news, basic senses. So nose for news, right? He should smell the news story. Okay, these are the basic qualities of a journalist. Okay, so apart from that also, okay, so you should have you should able to fit in the facts and context. So see the context. So for example of context is, so here nowadays, so one speech in some other place, so bringing to the, see one example is recent example. So if you're a speaker, so any political party speaker or politician, okay, he spoke it somewhere, and will bring it to another place. So in that sense, the context is different, and so sometimes we may hide some fact. So nowadays, these YouTubers, so intentionally they hide some facts and project only part of that story. So that means they give another angle to the story. So this, so as a radio reporter, radio journalist, we should give a proper facts and context. So since this broadcast medium like a TV or radio caters literates as well as illiterates, okay, it should use some simple words, keeping the average listeners in the mind. So that means, so both literates as well as illiterates also listening to the programs, no? So for that, you should keep in mind while writing the stories, presenting your stories. So you should, so You should not think, okay, listeners can understand whatever I wrote. So it is not the criteria. So a reporter or operator should keep in mind that, okay, only literates as well as illiterates, so that the mixed language, so easy language should be used in a radio programs. So there is a difference. So in the beginning itself, discuss. So there is a difference for writing for print is different from the writing for the radio. The first, so you have a less space. Less space means less time duration. So if it is a half an hour news bulletin, take example of radio news, half an hour or half an hour or 5 minutes. So in that 5 minutes, you need to put all your stories, right? So if you have a 10 stories of one minute each. So, but you have only 5 minutes duration. So that time you need to prioritize the stories. Oh, which one is important? And otherwise, so you can make it as a, so this important stories, okay, you can keep it as a 1 minute. So some non-priority stories, so you can reduce the duration of the story into 30 seconds. So you can fit all these 10 stories in a 5-minute bulletin. So you can prioritize the story based on the importance, or you can summarize the story into small news items. Okay, this is the first one. The second one is, so the basic concept is, point is, so listeners, so if you read a newspaper, if you don't understand, so you can read it, you can reread it again later. But in a radio, just listening, so once the bulletin is over, news bulletin is over, you can't get that news again. So for that, so if you use difficult words while writing or representing a news, so listeners may not understand. Okay, for that you need to write in a simple and a clear language. A simple language in a clear tone. Okay. And finally, so so in a print, so the product is printed. So if it is a print media, your story is printed on newspaper. So if it is a radio, just it is come out of your mouth only, right? Okay. So sometimes you may fumble because in a print media you can recheck while printing the newspaper. Okay, but in a radio we can't undo, right? Okay, once it goes, so it is okay. So as long as the result, okay. Sometimes see, whenever there are fumbles of reporters and news presenters, you observe that one. Okay, that means if it is a print media, so there is a chance to recheck. But it is in broadcast media, it is not possible to recheck again and again. So sometimes you can make a mistakes, but is sometimes it is understandable. Okay. So there are some tips for writing a radio. So while writing the radio programs, you should keep in your mind. So these are some of the tips. So write in a short sentence. Okay, where the sentences should be in a short. So if you take paragraph in a one sentence, so there is no breaking of a sentence. So listeners may not understand. Okay, if you break it in a small sentence, so then the listeners may easily understand. Okay, and take a close look at the long and complex sentences. If you break them into 2 or 3 smaller ones, that can be easily understood by the listeners. Okay, in a single sentence or paragraph, don't try to pack more than one information, idea. So if you want to convey the message, so it should be in a single paragraph. So if you want to convey 3 or 4 ideas, so you should not pack these 4 ideas into one paragraph. You should use 4 different paragraphs. So in a one paragraph, you should project one idea, in second paragraph another idea. Okay, that can be easy understood by the audience or listeners. Okay. So if you take example, so while presenting a news, in radio, for example, Lata Mangeshkar. So if you are in a paper, so you can write a date of birth, 1932. Okay, our expiry date is 2022. So you can simply write Lata Mangeshkar in the bracket 1932 to 2022. But if you use the same language, so as in paper, so listeners may not understand. So for that, you need to explain. Okay, so Lata Mangeshkar, born in 1932 and died in 1922. So you need to explain. Okay, so unlike in print media, so you need to take some precautions. Okay, you should also come out with a clean sentence, like putting a subject first and verb later. So instead of saying Ravana was killed by Rama, so in a radio, you should use Rama killed Ravana. This is an example, a small example of using sentences, clean sentences. Okay, subject, you should use a subject first, then the verb second. So for radio news, so how to write a radio news? Okay. So in a radio news, so see in the beginning itself we discussed. So we have a short duration. Okay. For that, our radio news should be precise and brief, neutral, and objective. And also, these news also should be interesting one. Then only audience will listen to the news. Okay. So the language. So news language is all about means. So our language should properly communicable to the audience. Okay. So make a short sentences. Okay. So that if it is a long sentences without pauses and commas. Okay. So listeners may not understand it easily. So if you make it as a small sentences, I break it into 3 or 4 sentences. So if you explain one sentence by another sentence, so listeners may easily understand. Okay, be neutral and objective to make. So you need to give a proper information. So you should not give a assumptions. Okay, if you give a objective and neutral information, so it will be given to the audience. They'll imagine. So whatever in their mind, based on their perspective, they can imagine the story. Okay. So after all, last, so radio is all about audio medium. Okay. So in audio medium, so you should given your language should be neutral and simple. Okay, and precise and neutral, objective, and also interesting. Okay, so in all, so all India radio like Akashvani, so they have only 5 minutes or 30 minutes bulletins. Of every 1 hour, they have 5 minutes bulletin, and the morning and evening, in the night, they have a 30 minutes bulletin, right? Okay, for that we need to plan according to the duration. So current affairs, is the time? Still we have 5 minutes. Okay, for current affairs. So current affair is a one genre of radio programming. Okay, so in the current affairs, we give a detailed information of latest. So, for example, current affairs on the Statue of Equality in Hyderabad. So, on that, so the personality, the guest who visited the place. Okay, so visited when it was opened, and then it was the programs conducted there. What are the programs conducted there? Okay, so we'll give a detailed information of current updates. Okay, latest information or whichever happened in recently. Okay, or so still it is going in now, right? So that can be a current affair. So actually, it is a different from regular news bulletins. Okay. So in the current affairs, so instead of in the news stories, uh, in a news stories, just will give a brief information. But in a current affairs analysis, we give a broad, will give a emphasis, more detailed analysis or discussion on particular news stories. So if it is a just information, okay, it's a news, right? If you give a detailed and discussion of a particular story or news story which are happening recently, okay, that programs is a current affairs program. So that programs will give a broad view of the subject or news story. So interview in the previous also we discussed. Okay, so in the interview, so it is the oldest format. Okay, in the whenever the radio programs was started, this interview was used to convey to get the information from the experts. Okay, it may be one-to-one interview or one-to-many interview. Okay, so now, still nowadays also they use this interview is the most popular method as well as in print as well as television and radio. Okay, so first we'll ask the question to the expert, then he will give a reply. Okay, answer. So based on our questions, we'll get a proper information from the subject, so from the interview. So he is expert in a topic. Okay. So if you hear some of the programs in television, okay, you may understand easily. Okay. This with this. So it's all 5 o'clock. So any doubts in this class? Only one has joined. So there are so radio programs are basically audio. Radio is basically audio media, right? So for that we need to have some qualities while writing for a radio, and compared to print. So radio language should be easy, and it should use simple language. So once the news or program is completed, we can't recap, right? Okay, for that we need to use simple language. So listeners, the radio listeners also from different heterogeneous in nature, right? So they may be literates and illiterates. So keeping the both literates and illiterates, our program should cater the both people, both category groups, right? So for that we need to stress on our writing styles. We should use simple language, and we should not use complex sentences. Okay, and it should be whenever we are using this brackets, parentheses, okay, we should give some special attention, right? So any doubts in this class? Otherwise I will conclude now. Okay. Okay, thank you for joining this class. Okay, I'm concluding here now. Thank you.